from the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight with Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Allbright.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight as we take a look at the Broncos versus Chiefs game coming up this Saturday. And Ben, I think I kind of want to start with what's important in this game. First of all, for the Broncos, they're obviously not playing for any kind of postseason consideration. Vic Fangio says that they want to try to win the game. I think that's obviously something important, especially in front of the home fans. But, of course, there are other considerations, right? You have to think about the fact that, well, if you lose this game, you're going to have a top 10 pick. Not that the coach and the players think about that sort of thing. But I wanted to ask you, like from just the big picture as well as even just from the remote of what's happening in the game, what's important?
I think it depends on who you ask. I think if you're Vic Fangio, you need this win. You lose this game, you're probably done. You might be done anyway, but you probably want to end the season on a high note and get the win. I think if you're Drew Lock, you want to go out there and put great tape up. That might convince somebody else to take a chance on you. I think if you are the defense and if you're special teams, you want to prove that you can get your act together.
Yeah.
If you're the defense, you want to continue the hot roll you've been on. I think the other thing is you want to beat the Chiefs. I think that's the important thing. Pat Mahomes has the second longest active streak in the NFL of beating a team, and it's beating the Denver Broncos. He's beaten them 9 straight, I believe it is. The longest active streak is Tom Brady against the Jets. So, if you're the Broncos, you'd like to get that one off your back. You'd like to not go into next season and have that thing circled again. Although maybe with a new coach, maybe that's different. But I think it's an important psychological component.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. And you and I have often said on Broncos Country Tonight, the radio show, that first of all, in the NFL, there's no real tanking. You're going in with the intention of trying to win the game. The players are professionals; they get paid, and maybe you're playing with backups because of COVID or any other reason, injuries, that type of thing. That could obviously limit your potential. But really, in this case, the Broncos are going to go in with the intention of trying to win this game. And from a culture standpoint, you and I talk about that all the time. It's not so easy as just like, oh, we're going to lose this game and then everything's going to be okay. You go on a streak here. You've lost several games in a row now, and that's 3, including the Bengals, the Raiders, and the Chargers. And now you'd be faced there with a 4-game slide into the offseason. I think from a culture standpoint would be not a great way to not only end the season, but even as you bring a lot of the players back for next year, you'd be thinking about that as you're trying to kind of rebuild things.
Yeah, I think you need a win over a good team, too. You basically beat all bad teams. Your one signature win is Dallas, and they were very short-handed in that game, missing almost their entire offensive line. So, I think that I think you could use that. I think you could use a signature win over a good football team. I think you could use a division-busting win that, that kind of thing. And I think there's a point of pride with that. So, I think the other important thing is, don't get anybody hurt.
Well, yeah. Obviously that's a big deal. And I guess under that perspective, how should the players approach this game? I know for a fact most players will say when you're going half speed, when you're not trying to get hurt is usually when you do get hurt. So there's really only one way to play this game. So I guess if you're any of the players, and that's certainly the consideration, I think, for the Broncos long term, I think for a lot of fans is you just can't have any injuries to guys that you're going to be counting on next year.
Yeah, I think the main thing, you go out and play your game, but you may make some business decisions. You may Teddy Bridgewater it against a fumble return or, step out of bounds.
Teddy Bridgewater it.
That's what we're calling it, right? He did it twice. I think that's the thing. Step out of bounds as a receiver rather than try to fight for a few extra, that kind of stuff. I think in most cases, I think there's a couple of guys that are going to be free agents that might be fighting for contract dollar yardage. But beyond that, I think, you mostly make business decisions.
Yeah. And of course, again, you mentioned it. You're playing against a division rival, opportunity in the streak, maybe in their opportunity to get the first overall seeding there in the AFC.
Titans,
that there's a lot of different things you're playing for there. And I think more than anything, you're playing for your home crowd. The Broncos have been a mixed bag at home. And I have to imagine that's probably a problem for most of the players as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to be a part of it too. So I think there are angles. I think there are things that people will be playing for. There are guys that playing for money. There are guys that are playing for a spot on a roster. There are guys that are playing a spot on a roster somewhere else. So I think your tape is your DNA, and the last thing you want is bad tape out there because that could be the difference in you getting a job and not.
I'd really like to see the Broncos get a little creative. I think I'd like to see them open things up a little bit. I don't know. It feels like the team has been playing pretty tight, to be honest, over the last month. And I think that's the anticipation of we don't want to make too many mistakes. We want to play clean football, right? You want to play the coin flip football because that's the best opportunity to win the game is with a really solid defense, not too many mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. Just take whatever the other team gives you, that kind of thing. I'd like to see him sort of take it to the Chiefs in this one. And even if you come up short, what's the difference? Like what does it change anything? You don't have weighing on your shoulders the possibility of anything beyond the season ending after this game. Before, you had at least the possibility of playoffs. Hey, if we win this game, who knows, mathematically, that type of thing. You're playing completely free here. I think there's some opportunities there.
There's something to be said for that. The other side of that, though, is if you do go all out and try to win this thing and you guys bring all the effort and you still lose, that's going to haunt you for an entire offseason.
Certainly, but I mean, what's the difference, anyways?
There's
right?
not, and you should go all out and do that. I'm just saying, psychologically, that's going to be yet another one. We went out there, gave our all, and we still got bested by.
But I also think, so like that's from the players' side. But what about even from the coaches' side?
Well, some of those coaches. We know some of those coaches are not going to be there. So,
but how would they coach this game? Like knowing that that may not impact the outcome, or maybe
you coach it like it's your job's on the line because you got tape, out there too. So you got to go out there and do the best you can.
Yeah. Well, in that case, that is concerning for me. Because the coaches have been more conservative. I know Vic Fangio's been going for fourth down a lot more in recent couple games, and we don't know yet the status as this video is being filmed. Brandon McManus and Sam Martin.
Ryan's no punt, go for two, all time go for it on fourth down scenario might be in play this weekend.
I'm just throwing it out there that if for some reason the Broncos don't have a punter, I think that this is the game to do it. Right?
Maybe Kendall Hinton can fill in as a punter.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I mean, look, yeah, you're right. They definitely could punt. Anybody can technically kick the ball. It's just more of it's not going to be pretty out there. But anyways, yeah, I just think that the interesting conversation about this game more than anything is what's at stake for the Broncos, what's at stake for some individuals like Drew Lock. If Drew Lock has a good game, what could that mean? And I think, the bigger picture for the Broncos is a team, as a locker room. What does it mean to win this game? What does it mean to lose this game? I think the expectation, they're a 10-point underdog right now. The expectation is they're just going to get boat raced in a game that's borderline prime time. Everybody's going to be watching this game because there's nothing else on. So I think that's sort of the expectation. But again, what are the style points? I think that's kind of an interesting one. I know in the NFL you don't care, but I'm saying in general, this one's kind of an interesting one because the outcome could mean something, and it can mean nothing.
I think it doesn't mean anything for the Broncos either way, but for the Kansas City, it could. I don't think there's anything with style points or any of that kind of stuff. I don't think as far as expectations, I don't think the Broncos, there's any eyeball on that. We'd like to go out and get a win. Let's go out and try to get a win. I just think that's how
it's more than that, Ben. I mean, this is a team that's probably reached 12 straight games.
Well, I mean, it's against the Kansas City, but I mean, like as far as the other stuff goes, like expectations or whatever, that's fan stuff, that's media stuff. Like like internally, that's not a thing. That's not something that they'd like to beat Kansas City because you want to beat Kansas City, but they want to get a win because they want to get a win. But I don't think any of that. There's not any. I don't think there's any of that other stuff going on. Certainly not. Certainly not anything where you're looking and reading that what's out there about you. So.
Okay. All right. For Benjamin Allbright, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.